It's up for grabs now!
Magic ball from Bergkamp to Patrick Vieira!
Oh, would you believe it? Oh, right, what a way to get it!
Fabulous solo goal by Thierry Henry.
Champions.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to our Monday night podcast, which obviously isn't. We're doing it on Tuesday. How are you guys?
Don't ask me that question.
All right, yeah. I've got my answer. So let's crack on with that. So there was a game last night.
Was there?
7 players. There was a game. Magnificent performance by players. They raised to the occasion. Warrior-like performances. A dream of a fan. You know, everything that a fan could ask. They won everything. First ball, second ball. The tactics was spot on. They won everything. The manager was. They were playing for the manager. Perfect. And then there was Arsenal. Quite opposite of everything what I just said.
I see what you did there. That was really clever. He had me on the edge of my seat there for a minute.
Everything. That opposite of everything that I just said. So, and that was our team, and the team that I described was the opposition. With the watch along with Mo and Lev, and you could see during the watch along that we were extremely disappointed. I mean, everybody was extremely disappointed. I'm still seeing things on Twitter of people that are backing. The manager this, that, it's all right, you know, which, you know, they're entitled to opinion, one that I don't necessarily agree with at this stage. But a ridiculous performance at the time that we needed the opposite, at the time that there was so much at stake. We're a team that were sitting on 4th, 6 points clear, games in hand, and now we're at the place where the manager comes after the game and says, we have to go beat Everton and hope for Spurs to lose. So from that to that, such a fall. And I cannot find anybody that can find any positive from last night. Tom, what's your thoughts on the game?
Disgusting, disgraceful. How many adjectives do you want? Really sucked, just like in the most blunt of forms, because you know that was Arsenal's cup final, really for the Champions League. Say again.
That was the season.
Yeah, it was the cup final to see, you know, to get the season's reward really, and to you know have the opportunity to play in the Champions League, and we put in a performance that was dire, you know, so incredibly dire. And I'm trying to, you know, today I obviously did the 8 a.m. show as per, but beyond that, I really tried to stay away from, you know, from Arsenal, because for mental health purposes, just, you know, trying to keep away from it as much as possible. You know, I dipped in a little bit into social media, and it was a mistake a couple of times. You know, everybody's hurting right now, but you know, I think we'll obviously talk about the wider context of what this means and kind of where our heads are at. I know, but it's just gutting, mate. I feel betrayed, you know, by the team, by the players, and I felt so bad for the fans that went up. You know,
they're the only people who turned up, Tom.
Yeah, absolutely.
On, mate. And you know, we spoke with more about this. It's not easy going to Newcastle. It's the furthest ground that you could possibly go, right? On a Monday night, and these players, they owe it to the fans who've made an effort. And nothing. You know, you said nothing. There was nothing. That even the manager comes out and says we had nothing tonight. Mo, what's your thoughts on the game?
Well, you know, you had the misfortune of watching it with me, and yeah, you know, I guess what's really surprising is we've had some decent performances recently. I have relentlessly spoken about the fact that in those games we have been given gifts, but you still have to accept the gift. You still have to then, you know, not throw it away as well, right? And we did that against Chelsea, United, Leeds, whatever, and you know, the other good performance against West Ham. So it was kind of like a difficult one coming into that crucial Northumberland derby fixture, and this one, you think to yourself, actually, well, you know, we had 3 awful games and 4 good wins, and you don't know what to expect with this team. But even not knowing what to expect with this team, I did not expect yesterday. Because when you say you don't know what to expect, you're talking about result. But one thing that should be a given, one thing that you should be able to expect as fans is seeing an application of effort and setup and passion on the pitch. And I just saw nothing. Honestly, I'm not just saying that as like a binary figure of speech, like either you get everything or you get nothing. I really didn't see anything other than the last 10 minutes or something when it was way too late. And I can't quite understand how that works. I can't quite understand how that happens on the pitch, because they surely wouldn't have been feeling, the way they played. If you were to, get a representation of that in how they were feeling before the game, they couldn't have been feeling the way they played, because that was devoid of any passion or any intensity. They must have been up for it in their minds. So is it just that Newcastle started off so well that it just took the confidence and the belief away from the team and they weren't able to respond? I'm still trying to make sense of it, boys, in terms of what explains what we saw out there yesterday.
Well, hopefully we can try to do that today. Lev, what about you? What's your thoughts on the game?
I've been thought about it over the last 24 hours. I think we got what we deserved. I really do. I think we got what we deserved. Not just from yesterday, from the whole way this season's been handled. Like the performance yesterday, we don't have to really shed too much light on it. It was awful. We know it was. At the same time, you're relying on a lot of youngsters to get you through these massive games. We come a cropper against Spurs. Why? They had more experience than us. They had more of a balanced squad than us and a team than us on the day. We've paid severely for a poor January window. And this is what happens. We've, people, I'm a little bit frustrated. I'm not going to lie, because people on I've tried the same as Tom, not to look at socials today, because I think it won't take much to get me going. Like, it would only take someone to say one thing and I think I'll lose my shit. So I've stayed away from it. I spent time with my family and all that sort of thing today, and it's been lovely. But cold light of day, we had a chance. And some people on here talking about, it's a good season. We're ahead of schedule. We weren't expecting to finish top 4 and all that. This is a competition. First and foremost, the league is a competition. It's about winning things. We have no other trophies to go for. This was all we had. And when December came along, we could have done something to ensure that we got this over the line ahead of schedule and put us in a far stronger position. Instead, we have allowed our rivals yet again to trump us, and we're supposed to say, hey, we're ahead of schedule. No, not happy with it.
Yeah, it was very poor. And unlike you two, I did browse socials quite often today, and I could, apart from one or two people who just blindly support anything that comes out of Arteta's mouth, quite a lot of other people were not happy about what is happening. I saw clips of there was a young guy in his bedroom that even ripped up his Arsenal shirt and things like that, which is.
Can I just say something on that? I want to say something on that, right? We can't be having a go at players like Granit Xhaka for throwing the armband on the floor. It's the equivalent. That's a fan's equivalent. That is. It's sacrilege. You've picked the team. You've picked your team for life. Those are your colours for life. You have every right to critique, to criticize, to say that you're disappointed, to say they got it wrong. All of these things are totally within your rights. But I draw the line at ripping your own shirt and throwing it on the floor. That's your club, that's your colours. And this is embarrassing as watching Xhaka throw his armband on the floor.
Tom is well pleased with that,
Oh, I think that's spot on. I've seen some mental things. I saw a video of someone burning their shirt. What is wrong with people?
You know what? Give it to a kid. Give it to a kid that can't afford it abroad.
Yeah,
Raffle it. Donate it.
But let me ask you a question, guys. The thing is, when you see things, right? You're just looking at what you're looking at, but you forget sometimes, or I do at least, that actually this is being recorded. You forget there's a camera involved, right? You take it as if you're looking at it firsthand. Let me ask you this question: would these shirts have been ripped and burned if there was not a camera there to capture it?
No.
Well, some people saying Curtis done it too. I didn't know Curtis did it. I saw some other guy do it, but I
I've
just
seen a
don't,
few videos. I've seen multiple people.
I don't agree with it. I don't agree with it.
But
At all.
would it have happened if there wasn't a camera there?
Good point, Mo. Probably.
I mean,
not.
the guy that I saw, he was sitting in his bedroom and he was actually talking to the camera and doing that. But it's something we all disagree with. And
would you throw your season ticket away if you weren't on camera? I think remember that famous video.
The point I'm clearly making is that this is not your average behavior. This is surely to attract viewers and to go viral and that sort of thing. So it's a bit frustrating that other fans are held to that kind of like poor standard, because most fans aren't recording themselves. Like, yeah, we were, but most fans aren't recording themselves. So I feel like it's a bit frustrating for them, isn't it? It's like, what's that got to do with me? I'm just watching the game like a normal person, not ripping up my shirt or burning my shirt after the game. And you're kind of there, look at Arsenal fans. It kind of does a disservice to the fan base, because we will latch onto it and use it against you. So,
well, if anything,
I'm just conscious to move away from this because we've got a lot to get through. So, and I wanted to see where I would start things off. And then just about an hour and a half before the show, I received a phone call from a certain Mr. Haidar, who kind of messed my plans up a little bit. So I've juggled things up, and I want to start off with a Granit Xhaka interview. We quite often want and wish that, sometimes we wish a player will come out and actually say it as it is, or, admit what's going on. And then once somebody does it, we all go on him hard. I don't know if that's because that's Granit Xhaka who's saying it, if somebody else was saying it. And the first thing that everybody has said is, all right, well, that's fine, but where were you? Why are you not looking at yourself? Which, again, it goes back to Granit Xhaka. But then if there's been a game plan and others are not following it, it kind of puts his actions out of the window, that he can't follow that as well, because not everybody's following it. What was interesting for me, right, and I want to ask you guys this, right? Maybe we get to see that in a documentary when it comes out. What do you think would have happened in the dressing room after the final whistle for Granit Xhaka to come out and say something like that? And are you guys all aware of what was said, or do you want me to say what was said?
Yeah, I know what happened.
Lev?
Yeah, I'm aware.
Yeah. Mo?
Yeah, I'm aware of what was said.
All right. Good. So this is what I want to know. One, what would have happened in a dressing room for him to come out and say it? Two, was he right to say what he said? Three, it's quite interesting for me that basically he's saying the players did not follow what the managers asked him, so they're not listening to what he's saying, kind of thing. So who wants to go first? Mo, you go first.
Hot potato.
I'm on mute. I will say what I think. I have seen a lot of people defend what Granit Xhaka said. For me, I feel like he didn't provide any protection to his teammates. And two main reasons why I didn't like what he said. One of them, it felt like he was not taking responsibility himself. I don't recall hearing him say that we weren't good enough and putting him, because you have to be mindful that when you're talking on behalf of the team, you should be going out of your way to say, myself included. I didn't get that vibe from him. Maybe I need to read a transcript. Maybe I'm wrong. But the other thing that I really didn't like, there was one specific question that he was asked, and I'm going to pull it up because I've got the transcript here, where the question was it the performance of a young team feeling the pressure? And then to that, he said, if your minds aren't ready for it, stay at home. Doesn't matter about age. You can be 35, 10, 18. If you're not ready for that nerve, if you're nervous, stay on the bench, stay at home. We don't care. We need people who have the balls. Sorry to say that. So like, number one, the whole if you've got balls thing is really chauvinistic in this day and age of women's football actually being respected. There's plenty of women's football teams. There's zero balls in the dressing room, yet they play with courage. They play with heart. They play with desire. I felt that was poor of him. Anyway, post-match, he's obviously heated. So we can forgive him that potentially, but I think it does show that he wasn't fully in control and fully sort of like calm in what he was saying. But when the question by the interviewer was specifically about the performance of a young team feeling the pressure, I feel like I feel like, he should have done more to protect the youngsters on that team, and his answers seem to kind of sell them out a little bit, like just chuck them under the bus. And it appeared to me as if he had one or two or more people in his mind when he was saying what he was saying. It looked like it was targeted at people. I wasn't a fan of it. There's a game left this season, and this is in a huge game where we're all feeling very, very low. But I don't think that I feel like the togetherness, that harmony within the team is really important. You're going to get plenty of criticism from outside, given the magnitude of that game and what the result means. And I felt like Granit Xhaka didn't do his job as a senior player when specifically asked a question about young players and the young team to offer them any support or protection. So I wasn't a fan of it personally. And this is in a game where Granit Xhaka was, he completed 0 tackles, and we were dominated in midfield. I feel like, I'm not suggesting that he had a really, really bad game. I don't think anyone played particularly well. I don't think he played particularly badly. But, it's not like you've been absolutely brilliant and unlucky to come on the losing side. Like, you've all been rubbish. So take responsibility.
Okay. Tom?
I think there's always, there's 2 reactions for me with these. There's the reaction when you hear it, and then there's the reaction like 24 hours afterwards when you've reflected and you try to apply the context. Afterwards, I was really quite frustrated, but I was frustrated and annoyed and angry anyway because of the result. And in the immediacy of it, I was like, "What on earth is he chatting about? What are we talking about?" I was a bit shocked. And then afterwards, I think it was Clive from the Arsenal Vision Pod tweet about it and saying, have a look at David Jones's reaction on Sky Sports when they're discussing it. And he says, he brought up what I thought you did, Shaheen, there, when he talks about, like, we ask players to be honest and have transparency. And when they do it, we criticize them. So, look, I'm not going to criticize Xhaka for being honest and saying how he feels, because I want players to do that. But I do agree with Mo that he could have chosen his words better in that scenario. He could have chosen his words a lot better and probably protected some of the players a bit better, because if he'd have had a great performance, then fair. If he'd have been a standout performer and had given absolutely everything in that game and hadn't made mistakes, hadn't passed the opposition like he did, hadn't completed any tackles like you say, Mo, I could, fair enough. You've defended your own performance through what you've done.
Can I interrupt you for a second, right? What if there was a game plan, okay, and one that has been worked on and has been discussed, right?
Yeah.
And then players are coming on the pitch and they're not doing what they've been told, right? 2 things. One, if Granit Xhaka then looking around, and I'm not defending Granit Xhaka here, right? He's looking around and he's saying these guys are not doing what they were told, right? And we're under pressure, right? And Mohamed El Neni and Granit Xhaka were outdone in midfield by 3 other midfielders, right?
Sure.
Then the idea of, oh, mate, you didn't do anything yourself. Why didn't you follow the game plan, right? Is that, I think it might be a little bit harsh on him. Would you think that might have been a possibility? Because
there might be
one second, there must have been something, Tom, to trigger him to come out and say something like that.
Yeah, of course. But I thought Nuno Tavares was probably our best player up until the point he was subbed. And so if there's a game plan and we've subbed off our best player on the night, how can we then point to the game plan being wrong? Because the guy that's playing the best in Tavares, we've brought off. I know that the foul throw that led to the goal, but I'll tell you what, there's a lot of football that has to happen before that ball goes in the back of the net off the back of that foul throw. A lot has to happen before that does. So it's not like we can just point the finger at Tavares and be like, you're the reason why we conceded that first goal. And if that is the reason why Arteta took him off, that's a joke. Because you went to Martinelli. I thought Martinelli and Tavares were starting to link up really well and giving us a bit of energy on that left-hand side when Martinelli came on. That sub to take Tavares off, I really thought did us in. Really did us in, frustratingly so. So I can't lean towards that, Shaheen, because if Xhaka's saying that there's a game plan and we're not listening to it, the obvious argument is, well, isn't it on them, the coach, to get his players? Why aren't they listening to him? Why aren't they taking it on board? Why aren't they delivering what he wants? You've got to ask those types of questions. Which
is a worry, because one thing that, I don't have any problem with what Xhaka said. Right? It was actually refreshing that a player comes out and says something like this. I think most of the reason that people are going in on him is because he's Granit Xhaka. Had it been
Yeah, I
somebody
agree
else
with
who
that.
come out, had it been somebody else who come at us, and that people might have been like, oh, no, but because it's Granit Xhaka, straight away, a lot of people will say, yeah, but don't forget what you've done, kind of thing. They'll forget about what he's actually saying. Right?
Look, if that was
And
Bukayo
what
Saka that
has
said all of
happened,
that, it'd be
yeah,
completely
and what
different.
has happened in order for him to come out and say that.
But can I please just make a point here that if we're saying that, if Bukayo Saka said it, well, Bukayo Saka's different because this was a question specifically about young players, and then
true.
someone is turning around saying, if you haven't got the balls, Saka is a young player. If a young player is criticizing young players,
True.
he's okay to do that. It's okay to talk about yourself. Had Granit Xhaka said the senior players did not show the balls to get that game by the scruff of the neck and lead the team through it, I would have said fair enough. But Granit Xhaka there, as a captain, has not done his duty. And I get tired of this argument and this desire for honesty. I want honesty from Man United players when they make their club a circus, like they have all season. I love that honesty. I'll get the popcorn out and I'll lap it up all day. I do not want honesty from Arsenal players. I want what's best for the team. Okay? You can be as honest as you want. It doesn't mean it's going to benefit you. I'd rather they were smart in what they say rather than just honest. Every single time you see managers, come out of a game when they've lost and they say, this is my responsibility. I'll take responsibility for this. This is my fault. They're not being honest. When you see for clubs in the transfer market say, I've never heard of this player. They're not being honest. They're positioning themselves to get the best for their club. So it's not honesty we should be focusing on. It's good captaincy. It's smart captaincy. It's Granit.
I disagree with you a little bit on that one, man. Because you know what? We were sitting after the game, and the one thing we were all talking is, how can these guys not turn up? Do they not know what is at stake here? Do they know not what's going on? Where is this? What is that? What could they be? What could they achieve if they win? What Tottenham, our rivals, and what Granit Xhaka has done, it tells me that no, they did know. There was a plan. It's just that it was not executed on the pitch.
Whose fault is that? Is that how much blame do you put on Arteta then? Because surely Arteta's got to take blame if they're not, performing his game plan.
It's a really interesting question, Tom, because one thing it shows me is that possibly, maybe I'm wrong here, maybe I'm way off, right? But it possibly, at times, they're not listening to him. Because if there was a game plan, obviously it was not executed. Is it? Whose fault is it? Yeah, probably players, because they haven't executed. If they've gone and they executed the game plan and the game plan was shit like the Tottenham game, then you look at the manager. It's difficult for me to say, is it Arteta's fault and that? I'm just trying to find out. I'm trying to read between the lines of Granit Xhaka's interview to find out what is going on behind the scene, kind of thing. Are they not listening to the manager? Because it's, whilst I say, yeah, I like it, it's refreshing for him to come out and say that. Again, it's not normal at all for somebody to come out and sell your teammates just like that on national TV. Lev, you've been quiet on this. Where do you stand on it?
Listen, initially yesterday I was in no state of mind to even listen to what he had to say. Now that I've listened to everyone else talking about it and looked at the socials, firstly, I think it's done, if anything, it's raised more questions. Because now people are going, oi, if no one's listening, whose fault is that? Tom just did it. Look, Arteta, whose fault is it? If people aren't listening to his coaching or what he's telling them to do, surely some of that blame falls at his door, because that's a manager's job, right? On top of that, I'm not being funny, but he was awful himself. It sounded like he was, in a way, it sounds like he was just sort of shifting the blame, or it was, it's all virtue signaling for me at the end of the day. You can come out, you can tell us what we want to hear, you can tell us how disappointed you are, you can tell us you haven't got balls and this, that, and the other, and honesty. The only honesty I want is on that pitch. Honesty, the performance, an honest, hard, like for the fans type of performance. Instead, what we got was nothing short of disgraceful. It was lacking in everything you could think of. I can't even remember a time where I was on the edge of my seat thinking, oh my God, we might get a goal here. I think
you couldn't on the first half, could you?
Listen,
because you were behind.
Oh man, let's save the jokes for someone else. I don't give a shit about it. Listen, Granit Xhaka, Granit Xhaka should shut up. And I think really and truthfully, they should all take this L as a team because they were all awful. And I can't see you could sit there throwing shade at other people when you was just as bad as them. So in my opinion, all he's done is made matters worse. And it's just virtual signal. Anyone can come out and say, oh, we should have been better and this, that, and the other. But when it really matters, they let us down. So I really I don't care what he has to say.
Okay. I just think there is, we'll leave that for now because we've got other things to discuss. I just think there's more to it than that. And maybe in future, we'll find out what it is. Mo, so the current situation is that we rewarded the manager with a contract. We lost the North London derby badly, right? We lost. I think for me, the defeat to Newcastle was worse than the North London derby for me, right? And then we go into the last game of the season against Everton, and I think we all agree that we've got 10% chance of making the top four. You know, I think 90% Spurs will beat Norwich, and that will be the end of it, right? So, well, optimistically, I'll say 10, right? So that is now the current situation. Okay, it doesn't look good. Where do we go from here? How do we pick ourselves up as fans? Because that's what we need to do right now. We've got the summer coming up, and how the club can put this back together. Because I'm now seeing things, and I'm sure when we come to Tom, he can clarify this, that out of a sudden now, Gabriel Jesus, he's not really 100% sure because there's no Champions League football. You know, maybe we were thinking about the likes of Dybala, etc. That is now not likely because of the Champions League, which to a certain extent I understand. I'm not saying that is the case, but I would have understand because someone like Jesus would want to play in the Champions League. So where do we go from here, man?
Well, where else can we go? It's just simply a case of, we have to look at the positives of this, and that will be that, 2 8th place finishes, now a 5th place finish. That in itself is progress. I haven't looked at on detail in terms of the points tallies, the goals scored and goals conceded and stuff, but certainly from a league position, it's a point of progress. You have to focus on that. Listen, and let me be clear, this is not me saying what I think necessarily. I'm just saying what a manager has to say to his team right now in terms of, you've asked me, where do we go from here? You have to go down this route of being positive and saying, look, Champions League is great in terms of adding to the transfer kitty, but actually in terms of potential of winning a trophy, Europa League's better. There's more chance of us winning the Europa League than the Champions League, and you have to try and convince these players that, okay, look, the only way to vindicate what's happened here towards the end of this season is to now go into the Europa League. Let's get to the final. That's the target. A one-off game, anything can happen. Let's get to that final. If we win that, then we're in the Champions League. You've gone through the rigor of playing a season with midweek European games as well, and you've gone and got a trophy at the end of it. If we can do that, then you've put this wrong right. And you have to use the wrongs that we've seen in the last couple of games, or in the last 11 games where we've had 6 defeats and 5 victories, which isn't good enough. And you have to basically say to them, look, it's on you guys to put it right. And in terms of Mikel Arteta being rewarded, I think I've moved away from kind of viewing it as a reward. I'm viewing it as the club basically protecting themselves with a manager that they can get rid of like that if they choose to, but without having a contract, they can't retain him. So you give him the contract, and that way, if the project's going well and you still believe in him and everything, then you can continue to do good work. The minute you don't believe in him, you can sack him anyway. That's what happens in football. So it almost makes more sense to just have the option, right? It's a sort of like a retain with the option to sack clause. you could look at it like that, right? So that's where we go. We believe in the manager believes in the players, the fan base have to recover, and we can't hold it against them forever. We just have to move on and hope that they can put the wrongs right next season.
I mean, I agree with more or less everything that Mo says, Tom. The only thing I don't agree with is we've had 3 attempts with 3 different managers in Europa League and haven't won it. Unai Emery is supposed to be the master of the European football. And even win it with
If
us.
he can't do it, who could do it?
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's not given that we're going to go and win the Europa League. I don't have any confidence in Arteta going there and win the Europa League anyway. So, but in terms of where we are and the situation and where do we go from here, and summer plans, because you probably know more than us about the summer plans and how things will change if we don't have Champions League football.
Look, things will change in the sense that they would have wanted to get certain players this summer had we have qualified, and they won't. That's the reality. Is that Tielemans? Maybe. Is that Dybala? Maybe. Is that Gabriel Jesus? Maybe. I don't know. What I do know is that they didn't think we were going to get into the Champions League next season, and they planned for this to be a year to get back into Europe. They planned that this summer transfer window was, with Europa League football for next season. That's what they planned, and that the Champions League was effectively seen as a bonus if they did. So there's no excuses to fail this transfer window. There's no excuses to not go out and get our primary targets with this initial plan. We shouldn't be going into the first game of next season with business still to do. We should not be in that situation because we've supposedly planned it. And that's public information. Edu came out and said that. They've planned it. It's done. It's sorted. They don't need to discuss anything else. It's ready. It's finished. And that was way before any kind of, Europa or Champions League talk had been confirmed by that point that he said it. So if we get to the first game of the season and we're still waiting for additions to the team, you'll see me sitting here with you guys after that first game going, the window is a failure at this point because we should be ready for that first game categorically. There's no World Cup, there's no European Championship to worry about. We should be ready for game one. In regards to kind of where I see where Arsenal are at, it is my belief that we would have finished fourth had we had Partey, Tomiyasu, and Tierney for these last 10 games. I think if we'd have had those three fit and ready for these last, I think we would have got fourth. I also think had we have attacked the January window better, we would have got fourth. And they're the two things that I think have cost us this season. I don't point to Arteta as for his coaching ability costing us fourth place this season. I point to the decision making in January, and I point to the injuries that we've lost key players to in the last 10 games and before that. But my expectation was, as I've always said, that I thought we had the fifth best team at the start of the season. After January, we probably had the sixth best team because we weakened ourselves and our rivals strengthened. And finishing fifth was my expectation of what I thought we would do. So I can't get angry we finished where we have. I can be very disappointed that we've missed this opportunity to get into the top four, sure. But I'm not going to be angry about finishing fifth. I'm going to be very disappointed that we finished outside of the top four because we enabled that opportunity for ourselves. We put us there. We put ourselves in that position to get top four and we've missed it. We blew it. But if I set someone a target, I'm not sacking them if they achieve it. It's as simple as that for me.
I agree, and I think sacking maybe is a bit strong at this stage.
Well, did any of you think we get top four after
before
the Brentford game?
We've done a prediction earlier in the season. I don't know if Mo has got that. Where we all said where we think we finish. I don't think anybody said top four.
No, I think someone said eighth at one point. I think Mo, you even thought you think we'd finish.
I can't remember, but the thing is, Tom, you make a really good point. But see, this is where different fans kind of view things differently. Some fans, they'll say, "What I said at the start of the season, that's the anchor that I kind of holds me in place in terms of where I thought." And then other fans kind of they revise it as they go along. And I kind of feel like, neither is necessarily the right answer. I do feel like it's important to look at what you said at the start of the season. I really do. And just to stay fair to your team. But, ultimately, let's be really honest here. If Arsenal were 20 points clear at the top of the table, and at the start of the season we said, we think we're going to get relegated, they're poles apart. You have to then, revise your expectation a little bit. And I think that where Arsenal were, it was sensible and fair to revise our expectation. After 26 games, we were 1 point clear of Man United with 3 games in hand, 3 points clear of West Ham with 3 games in hand, 5 points clear of Wolves with 3 games in hand, and 6 points of clear of Tottenham with 1 game in hand. So from that point, and then the following 11 games, we lost 6 and drew and won 5. So from that point, after 26 games, I feel like it's not unrealistic and it's not unacceptable.
Well, I don't think that's fair, though, because, when we talk about from 26 games, that's 26 games into the season. I think we played Norwich twice at that stage. I think we played Burnley twice at that stage, and the teams around us hadn't. Spurs are finishing the season with a game against Burnley at home and Norwich away. That's the end of their season. And obviously the North London derby at home, which we won our reverse fixture.
Sure, but Tom,
I don't think it's necessarily fair.
But Tom, I'm looking at the fixture list. So it's not a blind thing.
Of course.
I'm saying 26 games gone. Who have we got left? And what looks sensible? And so as far as I'm concerned, I understand fans that do revise their expectation and are disappointed. I am disappointed. Yet I do force myself to look at what I said at the start of the season as a reality check, as an anchor.
Yeah. Guys, we've got around just under our combined on both channels about just over 500 people watching, and we've got 50 likes on the video. This is a disgrace. This is worse than our Newcastle performance.
Oh,
please,
it's not bad.
Hit the like. Go on, hit the like.
If they don't have the balls for it.
Yeah, well, hit the like button. Subscribe, obviously, to Arsenal Lounge. If you're new, subscribe to the Guna Talk TV and subscribe to Moh's channel, Moh on YouTube, where you can see his after-match reaction. You've been quiet for a bit, Lev.
I'm just
where you stand and everything has been said. And I know this subject of players that are on loan, and if they were here, kind of.
I'm not going to get into that too much. I think I've.
Yeah, but it's a close subject for you.
Yeah, it is. But look, I will say this. All right. Yeah, we had targets at the start of the season. Happy days. I'm sure all clubs have targets at the start of the season. Could you imagine when Leicester, when they won the league, went to themselves, oh, we're overachieving here. Oh, we're overachieving here. Let's not go for it because, and did they buckle under the pressure? And did their manager turn around and say, oh, we're doing better than expected, so let it go? No. When it's an opportunity, you have to grab it, right? The league is in a very uncertain place right now. Teams like Man United languishing in 8th, 9th, not performing consistently. Teams like Leicester, same. Wolves, the same this season. All these teams that were around us have faltered this season, right? Even Spurs faltered this season. When we faltered before, teams overtook us. And we haven't gone back in since. So to sit there and go, we've overachieved with the fact that you've missed top 4, for me, is farcical. Because you should, as a club, your first port of call should be to compete for everything. We're out of every other tournament. So what's left to compete for? When you had a chance in January, they should have looked at this and said, this is our chance. And they should have grabbed it. Now, when you look at it, next season, it's going to be even tougher. Far tougher. It's going to be far tougher next season, right? I have no confidence in the manager. And the reason I have no confidence in the manager, people sitting here saying we've seen progress. Yeah, I have seen progress. I've seen some good things, but I've also seen some dead, awful things.
Yeah.
Right? And let's not forget it. We have seen some terrible, terrible things. He has tried silly things in crucial games. We had one moment when we lost 3. How many chances did we want to secure this top 4? How many chances did we want? Right? And we're going to sit there and make excuses. Well, we weren't expecting to do it, so let's be happy with 5th. No, I'm not happy with it because facts of the matter is we were 4 points clear. Listen, before Thursday, we were 4 points clear and it was in our hands. Fast forward to Monday and it's over. Right? So, and why? Because we chose to try and do it in a way that made no sense whatsoever. When others strengthened, our nearest rivals strengthened and they've leapfrogged us. That's no coincidence. Whilst we have gone backwards over the last few weeks, it's gone to the end of the season. Why? Because we've burnt out a lot of players. People going, oh, why is Xhaka doing it? Oh, why is this person doing it? We should never have been relying on these young kids for the entire season. Had we given them some support, someone on the chat said we've got experience, but they're not good enough. Listen, What's the point of having experience if they're not good enough? You want players next to those young kids to help them. Had Bruno been in our midfield yesterday, he would have helped the likes of Odegaard and he would have helped the likes of Saka and those people. We left it in such a state. We weakened ourselves in January. We've got it all on the shows in January. You can go and see what Mo had to say. We cheaped it. We gambled it. You can go and see what I had to say. Why haven't we strengthened at least in midfield? I heard the excuses about striker. No, it's not good enough. It's not.
You know
and
what?
I have no confidence in this man's foresight or forward planning. There you go.
Yeah, I agree with you. And interesting thing, and I spoke with you about this morning. If Tottenham, if they employed Conte beginning of the season instead of Nuno Espirito Santo, probably there would be no top 4 discussion right now. They would have had the top 4 sealed, done, finished. But it's one of those things that if some buts kind of thing. I know Mo needs to leave soon, and we've got a special guest that is going to come in place of Mo. So Mo, should we do predictions for the Everton game? Mo is going to leave. We're going to carry on. We're actually going to do this show a little bit longer than usual today. So we will discuss. There will be a section where you guys can ask us questions, and we'll reply as much as best as we can. So should we do predictions for the Everton game? You're muted.
Go on then.
You're muted, Mo.
Let's do it.
Go on. So what's your prediction?
Stop trying it, Shaheen. We're going to dock points from you. If you carry on trying it, we are going to dock points from you. This guy's so sly. We've told him so many times.
Oh, am I a sly? Yeah. I put down in the group chat. Yeah. What's everyone's prediction? What's the first thing Mr. Haider says? What did Tom say?
That's because Tom's ahead of me in the table.
Yeah. I'll go 2-1 Arsenal.
2-1 Arsenal. Okay.
Tom.
Yeah, I'll go with the win. And I'll say 2-0 Arsenal.
Mo, you're lost. This is a tricky one for you.
You have to keep hitting me with the fact that I'm last. Is that
No. This is interesting for you, man. This is your last chance to salvage.
Is it now between Mo and Lev? Like, is that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm safe.
I'm not safe.
I am going to perform better than Arsenal do on the final day. I tell you that.
So hold on, where do we stand now, Mo? Me and Tom, we're cool.
Yep, 13 points for you, 11 points for Tom. I'm on 9, Lev's on 7. So it's between me and Lev.
So Mo,
I don't understand.
Lev needs to wait for
I'm
Mo's
2
prediction.
points behind.
This needs to be tactical from Lev.
I don't understand how I'm 2 points behind. I don't get that. But anyway, go on.
But, this all comes down to Everton Palace on Thursday. How can you predict this game where we don't know whether Everton need to win or not?
Well, you just guess a score, Mo. That's what you do.
Oh, I need to think about what's going to happen at Everton and Palace. I think. Let me have a look here.
This is pressure, These two guys are under pressure.
Please, just do it, Mo.
Tom, are you seeing this?
You can't cheat. You got to take it.
Go on. Today, please.
I'm going to say 2-1 Arsenal.
2-1 Arsenal. After all of that,
count, isn't he? Hey, counting his pennies already. Okay. 2.
You don't want to go for a draw.
2-1 Everton.
What? Go on, Lev.
He's got to. He has to go for that if he has any hope.
Get in there.
If it is 2-1 Everton, that means he overtakes Mark.
That'd be so good. Oh,
look at Mo's face. I don't
want my team to lose.
Whoa. We're an Arsenal podcast, and Thomas just said if it's 2-1 Everton, and never said that would be so good.
It's not going to make any difference to our outcome.
I just like the drama.
We
might as well go.
And then it's 2-1 Everton.
2-1 Everton.
I've said 2-1 Everton. You can't have that now, Mo.
But why
you said Everton
would it still be so good? You guys.
No, I don't see Mo predicting 2-1 Everton.
I've just done that. So there you go. And I predicted after Mo, so he can't go back now. He's already predicted.
Yeah, it's
I don't think he would do that anyway.
Oh,
But,
I can see the
anyway,
fear.
Mo,
Come on!
Mo,
He's
just
going to be
before you
going.
leave-
He's going, go on, you toffees on the final day.
I'm going to be out with my Werther's originals. That's what I'm going to be.
You guys settled now, yeah? Thank you. Mo,
Sorry, Dad.
just before you leave, I'm going to bring on our guest so we
Okay.
can have a bit of thing. So he will tell us about things. And I know you want to go because you've got commitments. And let's bring in our guest. Hi, Mike. How are you?
Doing well, Shaheen. How you been?
Hey.
I'm good. For those who don't know, Mike is from Gooners versus Cancer, which is a very, very, very good cause and is supported by us Arsenal fans. He's a very, very good friend with Tom as well, just in case you didn't know.
Did anyone see Tom smirk and laugh as soon as you brought me into the
I
podcast?
didn't know you were going to be here. So it's funny when I saw you.
Mike, very, very welcome to this is a very special podcast. Not a lot of people get to come on it, and we've got a lot of requests. So you're royalty here. You come in with the special thing. So tell us about your event on Friday.
I'm sorry, I need to run. Mike, I'm going to watch this back and listen to every single word you've got to say, my friend.
Thanks, Mo.
Take care.
Hey, man. Hope to see you soon.
Cool. Take care.
Take
Bye.
care, Mo. See you soon. Right.
Well, with
So-
that introduction, I mean, my God, I'm overjoyed to be here. I was overjoyed to be here anyway, but now I feel overjoyed, lucky, and special. But then I realize I'm friends with Tom, and that all goes away.
So we feel for you, man.
Tom the Toffee, I think, is his new name after the last few minutes.
No. There's reason for that. Let's not throw me under the bus.
He's going full Kevin Campbell now, like switching gears and rooting for Everton. So anyway, you didn't bring me on to talk about Tom.
No, actually, do you know what? Do you want to?
You do want to talk about
Actually,
me.
tell us about this thing on Friday first, and then we'll go back to the Arsenal talk. So go ahead, Mike.
So Gooners versus Cancer is a charity that I started about 5 years ago. A little bit of background: my dad passed away way too young back in 2010 of leukemia, and once I started doing some podcasting, started to get to know people in podcasting, I thought it might be a good idea to use that platform for some good and try to help raise money from a family, which is the Gooners and Arsenal fans around the world. And it's just been incredible. We've raised over $75,000 so far. Wow. About 60,000 pounds over the years. And
12p. Exchange rate at the moment.
Depending on the various world things going on. But yeah, no, we've done a great job, and I'm just constantly amazed because the last 5 years, if you've noticed, have not been the greatest for Arsenal on the pitch. We've obviously had a lot of controversy, a lot of underwhelming performances, yet the spirit and the generosity and the community of Arsenal fans around the world, maybe not so much on Twitter, but generally the actual Arsenal supporters are just amazing when it comes to this sort of thing. So I'll be coming into town tomorrow, and we're going to be doing an event at the Tollington. My hope is everyone knows where that is or knows of it. But if you're anywhere in and around London, Friday, we'd love to see you. Starting at 7:00, anytime from 7 on, we'll be there. There's going to be some top podcasters there. There's also going to be Tom.
I love. Wait, Tom, I like this guy already. Yeah, just letting you know. Carry on, Mike. You carry on, Mike. You carry on.
And Tom.
Tom, stop interrupting, Mike. You carry on. Mike.
No, we're the goal is that you come, you can win things, which I'll tell you about in a second, because I believe that in addition to just being charitable and donating to a good cause, you also want to have some fun and have a chance of winning something or have a guarantee of winning something. So there will be some prizes available, but we're going to have some of the people that you will probably know from the Arsenal podcast world. I hope one or both of you, Shaheen or Lev, will come.
Lev is definitely going to come.
I can't make
50,
it all of a sudden.
because I've got
Mike don't mind.
No, I would. The more controversy, because controversy, is popular these days. So we're going to have them arm wrestle at the thing. Elliot and Paz from the Arsenal Vision podcast will be over for the weekend. They're going to come. Kaya Kayak, one of Tom's colleagues, should we say, will be there.
Exactly what you say, yeah.
That's because that's what it's called, right?
Yeah.
let's see who else is going to be there.
Lee Judges will be there, no?
Who?
Judges.
You said Lee Judges will be
Lee
there?
Judges, Dan Potts, the football gerbil will be there. Big ITK, he's going to be there, or it's going to be there. And there might be a special guest from Ireland that's in town for the weekend that might show up after dinner, but because it is a possibility, not a certainty, I won't be publicizing it. But you never know who shows up at a Gooners versus
just before we go any further, there's a small video I'd like to play for you guys, which is about Friday and the prizes that you can win, etc.
This is the grand prize that you can win.
Yeah, this is a grand prize you could win. So let's give this a watch.
Good ball by Gibson. Finds Smith. The top shot to the midfield. Thomas. It's up for grabs now. Thomas. Right at the end.
So that's a really cool shirt, and everybody who's mentioned that commentary, they've signed the shirt, and you can win the shirt, and it will be yours if you can turn up and take parts. Right.
Let me just clarify that this is a 500 entry closed raffle that there's about 200 entries left. Each entry is a £20 or $25 donation that goes directly to the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, which is what Gooners versus Cancer raises money for. So if you make a donation, you get an entry, and once we hit 500, we're going to draw for that. So that shirt is kind of the underlying grand prize of this entire thing. It's not likely to be given away on Friday at the Tollington, but what will be given away on Friday to anyone who donates on Friday is a signed 89 shirt from Perry Groves. And everyone who donates, regardless of being a winner or not, everyone who gives a donation on Friday will walk away with a piece of Ruth Beck art. And if you don't know Ruth, she's a local artist who does artwork of Arsenal related things, of Highbury related things. Just a great artist, and she normally sells and ships these things. But we're going to give one away to anyone who makes a donation at the Tollington on Friday night, and it's just going to be a really good time. And we need that right now, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Is there a link for the? Is there a link for the donations?
So if you send me the link after, I'll put it in the description.
Thank you. It's easy. It's goonersvcancer.com. And again, you can enter that. You can enter the raffle for the shirt, and you can follow it on Twitter at goonersvcancer on Twitter. Year round, there's usually things that you can bid on and win and take part in with your donations. But the donating for that shirt that we just played the video on is open now. It has been open, and it'll be open until we get the 500th entry. So yeah, goonersvcancer.com.
Can I just say something, Shaheen? Mike, that's amazing what you're doing, mate. It's a subject very close to our hearts as well. My children lost their mother to cancer about 7 years ago. So if I can be of any help, you know where I am, mate. Just let us know.
Well, I appreciate it, and both of you for inviting me on.
No problem, man. We're all happy to support a cause. I will wish you all the best on Friday with it.
And Tom, I just have to say, despite the fact that I love giving Tom a hard time, he has been with me from the start of this thing. Back when he was like 18, 19 years old when I started this thing. he has been a very just a real good friend and supporter of this since the start. So thank you, Tom.
Guys. Brilliant.
Always, bro.
Mike, I want to ask you something else. So we discussed the charity, and you said we need that as a fan base right now. What was your thoughts about the game? Let's talk about that a little bit.
Yesterday, or you could tell after about 5 or 10 minutes we weren't going to win that game, and it was just absolutely gutting. I mean, the injuries worried me. Ben White, would you rather have played Elneny in center back and had this whole makeshift lineup or Ben White? I don't know, because after 5 minutes, with Ben White's yellow card foul about 8 minutes in, you could tell he was way, way short of fitness. He wouldn't had to have committed that foul if he was fit. Later in the game, it cost him again on the own goal, and I think we paid for our lack of fitness. And I can't say I didn't see it coming. I don't know why people were so confident about it. I don't mean to sound negative, but it just, after that loss on Thursday, you just felt the tables had turned.
I don't know if you were watching the show earlier, and we were discussing about the performance and the Granit Xhaka interview and even the Arteta's press conference. How do you see things right now at Arsenal, and how can we move forward as a club? I mean, the magnitude of the capitulation, in my view, is so big that it kind of overrides the disappointment. Because as Tom said earlier, in the grand scheme of things, especially with how the season started, finishing 5th is not a disaster, right? But because the way that we've basically fallen apart recently, it just makes it worse. It makes it as if it's another season that will finish 8th. That's how it feels like.
Well, Arsenal always do things in the most painful and gutting of ways. I mean, had we not beaten Chelsea and Manchester United, we probably wouldn't have been looking at. We would have already have blown it with those 3 losses prior to that. We wouldn't be having this feeling. So again, if there's a way, and that's why I think, if there's a way for it to be more painful, it will be. So we're going to beat Everton, and in the 90th minute, Norwich is going to blow a 1-0 lead and drop points.
Thanks, Mike.
I mean, there's only one way this can get worse, and it's that. It's us sitting there looking at our phones, watching a 1-0 lead for Norwich until the very, very end when Son scores.
I think the worst way for me, I was thinking about this actually.
Or Norwich wins and we don't.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah,
that's more like
what will
it,
happen.
Mike.
That's the Norwich lose and
more
Everton
like
beat
it
us.
now. Norwich
And I
will
would
win
not.
and
That
we'll
is
draw.
not a distant possibility. Sandy.
No, it's not. No, I mean, I don't know that we're going to win on Sunday.
I don't think we are.
I mean, it's just it's tough right now. Where we go from here, I think it depends a lot on what we do this summer. I do think as much as I am not a huge fan of Granit Xhaka personally,
You've got him on the back of a shirt, Mike.
I do. Yeah, I bought that before he ever played a game for us.
I know.
It was a short name. It's cheaper, isn't it?
Yeah, I didn't have to pay as
Talking
much.
about your friend throwing you under the bus, Mike.
And he's also
1-1.
given me a death stare at a press conference once, and so that didn't help. I'm sorry, my phone went off in the middle of Unai Emery.
Just
talking.
for those that don't know this story, Mike was in a press conference with Granit Xhaka, put his phone up on the ring with Granit Xhaka, and his alarm goes off, telling him he needs to eat soup. Like you
can't make that up. This is a true
there is
story.
a video. You need to post it. It's hilarious.
This is a true story. But yeah. So ever since then, we've just not gotten on. As people will. I mean, people just have arguments with each other. But yeah, Xhaka and I don't mix well. But and for him to, I don't know who he was specifically calling out, but he needs to include himself in that. They still, though, and his comment about not doing what the manager said, I don't look at that as saying we don't respect the game plan. I look at that as saying we're absolving the manager because he had a good game plan. We just weren't capable of doing it. And in that regard, when they keep talking about wanting to play for him, looking at him as a good coach, as a positive influence on the team, I can't help but think it's going to be about the players who we keep. Whether we improve on players, we have to be ruthless. Granit Xhaka may be a leader. He may be a player that every coach loves to have, but we need better on the pitch. We need a better, different mentality, and we need to again shift this team over. So I hate to keep kicking the can down the road, but in this case, I'm giving Mikel Arteta, the first half of next season to see if we can just start off where we need to be rather than spending the entire season catching up.
Where do you stand on him, Mike?
On his neck, maybe.
Yeah, if I stood on him, if I actually stood on him, the issue would be solved for a lot of people. But I still support Mikel Arteta, not because he's Mikel Arteta, but because he's a manager of Arsenal Football Club with a massive job on his shoulders who has done a lot of things, not necessarily all of them reflecting in the table or on the pitch, but the things he's done behind the scenes with the, and I say with the psychology and the mentality of the team, and then we come out and give 2 performances like that. But overall, I think the connection with the fans, I think the things that are going on at the club behind the scenes, all of that, which has to eventually funnel into, Europe and positions and trophies and titles, I think it's headed in the right direction, just a little slower than a lot of people would have wanted. So I'm not in favor of making a change, but I don't see how we could have another year of inconsistency and underwhelming performances like we have next season, whether we're 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, or 8th, or whatever next season. I think if we have another season where we haven't made a stark improvement on the one before that, it's going to start to look like a change is needed.
I agree. And the key word that you said, and I've been saying this for a while. I did a show over on Tom's channel, and this was my main issue with.
Was that our agree to disagree show where you agreed?
That's the one.
That's his favorite one.
The most boring agree to disagree show I've ever seen. Should have just this. It was just
agree to disagree and indigenous. Those are the top 2 favorite.
I mean, the key word here is inconsistency, right? Because you can't lose to Palace, Brighton, Southampton, and then go beat Chelsea, Man United, West Ham. It's keep it consistent.
Well, but doesn't that show you that we actually have a team that's capable of playing that way? And you can
it does, Mike. But then
saying he's not keeping them motivated 100% of the time, or you can blame it on the players.
It shows there is something there. But then the question that I don't know the answer to is, what is it that he can get out of them at Chelsea away and Man United and West Ham that he couldn't get out of them at Southampton away or Brighton away? I don't know that.
No idea, but I feel though as though I've officially made it, because I am being mocked and questioned by someone named Maximus Genitalia in the chat.
That's normal for Maximus.
I feel like he gets me. I'm proud to be mocked by someone named Maximus Genitalia, which was almost my birthday.
Is this the comment you're on about, Mike?
There's a whole series of them.
Maximus is just normal for Maximus.
I'm sorry.
Welcome to the
lounge. Now we know why no one wants to come on here.
Minimus Genitalia is a huge fan of mine, though. It's crazy.
Let's carry on our show, and obviously we've got Mike in space with Mo. Tom, you want to ask your questions that you normally ask once a week?
Oh, you want your random? When you said we're going to carry on this show, I thought you meant Arsenal, but this sounds like we're wrapping up soon.
No, we're not going to wrap it up. We're going to.
Well, at the end. That's the headline act.
No. It's not. Actually, do you know what? Whilst you're coming up with your question, guys in the chat, first of all, thank you all for being here, watching us. Please hit the like, subscribe to Arsenal Lounge, subscribe to the Gooner Talk TV, Mo's channel, and the Gooner podcast. I think that's Mike's podcast. So check it out. And
when he does it,
please, if you want to ask us any questions, put it in the comments now, and we try to get through as many questions as possible we can tonight about how you're feeling, your thoughts, and any question you might want to ask us. Go ahead, Tom.
Oh, okay. Even though you, I forget.
You keep saying you're going to do this, and you never do it. Last week,
okay, I've got it. Look, I've got a question. It was in taking my day of trying to avoid social media. I managed to just get outside, get some fresh air, go on a walk, and there was a pub, and I was thinking, what is the best drink that you can order on the hottest day of the year?
Oh, that's quite obvious.
I want specifics. I need you to be specific about this.
A pint of Estrella.
Wait, let him ask you. Wait, your turn.
No, he's done it.
Right, so is that you, Esprilla, yeah?
So yeah, there you go.
Not Estrella.
Used to play for Newcastle.
Not Stella. Estrella.
Lev?
Do you know what? On a sunny day, it's one or two.
He's going to go for something shitty like gin and tonic.
It's
going to be the mint tea.
It's one of two. It is either a Pimm's.
Oh, you see? I knew it.
It's a good shout. No, I respect that.
Or a nice, really
typical of somebody who lives in Chelsea.
Organic, good quality cider.
Mike?
I'm going to shock Tom here because it's a non-alcoholic drink.
That's fine. Just
Actually,
water ice.
actually, well, I was gonna say sun-kissed orange, but that's a pretty yank thing to say. I'm going with Lucozade, the not the sport one, not the
Fizzy one.
not the fizzy one, the other one, the lemon lime one. It's a staple of my on my night table whenever I come
Sounds
over
American. I don't think
to
we have
London
that.
to
It's going
visit.
to be Mountain Dew.
No,
that one.
Diet Dr. Pepper.
Yeah.
No, it's got to be the non-carbonated Lucozade is phenomenal. Just suck it right out of the bottle, Maxibus.
Let's swiftly
we're
move
just
on to the
past the
questions.
watershed now, so we're all right.
Yeah,
There you
let's
go,
let's
there's your
move on to the
question.
questions. So, guys, put your questions on a comment, and then we try to get through them as much as possible. Alistair asked question: Newcastle was a repeat of Crystal Palace. Prove me wrong.
How do you
can't.
prove someone wrong?
I don't think so. I don't think
I
you
didn't
can.
want us to do that.
I
We're wrong.
didn't even. I should have read the question before put it up there. I don't know, man. For me, I can't prove you wrong because he was a repeat of that.
Arsenal Manic's got a good one for Mike. There you go.
Been doing it since I was a fetus.
to be fair, Lucas age, yeah,
He's still got the same bottle as when he was one.
Exactly.
He still uses it.
little ski cup.
This
I
one
have my
by
Gatorade Zero.
2
bottles.
cups like that.
you finished, Lev. Can we get on now?
Oh
For the
God, every time
questions.
I crack a
He's
joke-
like, I used to be a
reason-
teacher, and he's worse. He's worse than what I was.
You
like.
quite finished. Question: do you think Conte would lose against Norwich because he knows they're not ready? They're not ready either.
Oh,
Given the money
that's-
Champions League brings, Conte not getting funds from
yeah.
Levy. Thoughts? Go on,
Can
Lev.
I answer this? Yeah, brilliant. So he's gone all out to beat us on Thursday, then he goes all out to get that result on Burnley, and then comes on the Sunday or whenever it is and goes, right, lads, not going to get no funding, so today we lose.
Intentionally.
Stupid. Sorry, I don't mean to call you stupid, but that is a stupid
Right.
question.
Mike says, any of you guys going to the Summers Emirates Cup?
We might win that.
Yeah, well, I don't know.
I don't even know who's
It's
playing
only,
there.
it's only one day this
Yeah,
year.
it's one day. They'll figure it out that morning who's playing, I think.
Boreham Wood, I imagine.
It'll be behind closed doors against Brentford, probably. But any of you guys coming to the States for the summer tour, though?
I'm Iranian, Mike. I might struggle with the visa side of things, so that's me.
I'll sneak you in.
Jeez.
I'm coming over next week. You get in my suitcase when we come back, and I'll sneak
All
you
right,
in.
deal.
Then you only have to wait like 2 months until the
It's
game.
all right.
old suitcase,
I'll
Mike.
go around. I'll go around, check America, see what the American dream is all about. Going back to the questions, Matthew, when is the Agatha Christie? Oh, mate, you know what? I'm not going to read that.
You're in a row here.
Why don't you
Cheese.
vet questions before you?
All right, you know what? I'm going to actually put it to Tom since he's keen. When is the Agatha Christie case going to end so he stops making the news? Tom?
What is it? I don't know what it is.
It's,
Is
I
that
think, the-
linked with? Is that
the-
linked
the
with
Colleen
Rooney and
Rooney and-
Vardy?
Vardy's wife.
Oh, is that the Vardy?
Yeah,
oh,
I'm more into Depp Heard at the moment. Over
yeah,
that
I've
one.
been following that more.
Yeah.
I couldn't give you an answer.
Mike, Sasha says, why is it so wrong to focus on the positivities?
That's a great question,
Well, the positives.
Sasha. And you know, obviously,
Sorry.
I
You
missed
see,
that.
Mike, you see what I have to deal with every week? Immatures. You see, now they
positivities.
tell me I need to get my stick out. You need to
I
behave
deal with him.
yourself.
I deal with him every like 10 minutes in the group chat. So it's,
I'm gonna. Hey, you two.
We
behave
just
yourself.
focus on the positivities, please.
Yeah,
Just to get on with it.
Go on, Mike.
we're getting kicked in a minute, Lev. We're gone.
I see a lot of stuff in the chat about here's another positive fan or someone who's accepting of failure and all that. It's got nothing to do with that. It's called being 49, having lived through a life and realizing that I have very little control. I could protest outside the Emirates. Sure, I could not go to games instead of flying over 4 times a year to go to games. But I love this club. And I like when the club makes me happy. When they make me annoyed or pissed off or gutted or upset, I try to just focus on the positives because I don't need to get sick physically and ill over this. So I focus on the positives, not because I'm trying to fool myself into thinking the team is better than they are. It's because I like for my passion to be something enjoyable.
Because
like
you want to live longer, basically.
I want to live.
Saying.
I mean, I don't show that I want to live longer in any other way. If you've seen me,
Oh, come on, Mike.
But no, I don't want something that I care a lot about and have for 34 years to be something that makes my life worse. Just because.
That's fair. So you don't want to. You just want to keep it positive, and you don't want to really focus on negativity.
I'd like to be able to enjoy the positive parts of it, and you know, it isn't that I'm completely blind to the problems. It isn't that I don't agree or think that people shouldn't be critical or complain. I just don't think that you or I or Maximus or Arsenal Man or anybody I'm not meaning to call you out individually, but I don't think that we have any control of it. So how is me getting more upset and angry and holding a sign up outside the Emirates, how is that going to do anything other than make my day about negativity? That's right, so. Mike, so do you do you? I'll do me. I'm not trying to convince you of anything. So
okay, that's well put. Eminem, are you listening? You know who you are, Eminem. By the way,
I'm gonna block you in a minute.
No, what's the matter?
Let me get on with these questions, man, because a lot of questions. Brendan, I think that's our Brendan. I think. Is Tom Arteta out yet, or are we still trusting a process that doesn't exist and he's going to have Arsenal working for the next 3 years? I think this is the question.
I love this. I love the commitment to asking me the question that it's a super chat. Look, at the end of the day, I hate these labels. I'm Arsenal in. That's what I am. I'm Arsenal in. And that's as always. And if we're making progress, which I personally expected us to finish 5th, 6th this season, we've done that. You know, we've done. So I'm not going to suddenly go, he's got to go because we finished where I thought we'd finish or where I expected us to. If next season we don't finish in the top 4, we've not progressed. And I'll be sitting here at the end of next season if we finish 5th, 6th and go, we didn't achieve what I expected us to, okay. and therefore I think we should. Tomorrow I'm doing a phone-in talking specifically to fans that aren't happy, just try and get that, understand, because I offer this all the time. I offer people to come on the show and say, look, if you disagree with my point of view, here's your platform, here's your chance. Come and ask me whatever you like.
Yeah,
I really genuinely struggle.
What time's that on, Tom? I might be on there, mate.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Brendan Brendan might take you up on that.
You're more than welcome, mate. You're more than welcome.
He might pop in and ask you something. Fitz is asking what you guys think of Xhaka's comment. We went through that earlier on the show, mate. So if you want to watch back on it.
Is that Fitz who went off the other day?
No, that's not. No. So Adnan, question: would you give Eddie Nketiah and Lacazette new contracts? Lev?
No.
Okay, that's
I've got nothing else to say on that.
By the way, can I ask a favor? For those of you that are calling me or Tom and me Muppets, name the specific Muppets that we are.
I love this guy. He takes a negative and turns it into a positive.
I grew up with the Muppets, so if I'm a Muppet, that's great. I want to know.
I'd be Gonzo, wouldn't I?
I've got to be. I'm probably Fozzie Bear, but but name the specific Muppet that I am, because there are a couple. There are a couple very grouchy Muppets that sit up in the theater and complain about everything.
Old fellas.
Yeah.
Well, Samson is asking, with the new UEFA regulation in place, does Arsenal have a chance to qualify for UEFA Champions League next season? Tom or Mike, you want to have a go at that?
It starts in 2024, doesn't it? So it wouldn't impact next season. Yeah. And in fact, I'm not even sure that finishing 5th would impact it next season. But the proposal is that more than likely England would get a 5th Champions League spot because of England's overall performance in, not ours necessarily, but so thanks to, I guess, City, Chelsea, and Liverpool over the past 5 or 10 years, we might end up getting a 5th team place. And of course, that will go to Newcastle.
Yeah, of course.
So it doesn't really matter.
This is another one for Tom. Is the Gabriel Jesus transfer news for real?
Yeah. Do you want any more?
Did you get that from the football gerbil? Is that where that came from?
Yeah, exclusive. Yeah, it's real. We are interested. We are pushing for him, and they want to try and sign him whether or not we have Champions League football.
This is a good one for Lev. Do you think Bellerin has any future next season as a backup to Cedric?
No.
So you wouldn't have Bellerin as a backup to Tomiyasu?
No.
I'd sign someone
I'm done with all this dross. How much more? Is it like you've seen a really bad movie, so you're going to go and get the sequel, and then after that one's really bad, you go and get the sequel, and then you just carry on?
I'd rather sign Lichtsteiner again.
Oh my days! Seriously, honestly, I'd rather go and get Lee Dixon.
He's got new knees; he could do it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask all you three this question because this is a really good one. I think. How many players do we need this summer season? And how much should we be spending, considering they close to save money in Jan to spend big in summer? They chose, to save money in Jan to spend big in summer.
Yeah.
So, Lev, do you want to go first?
I think we need minimum 6. You could look at. It looks like they're not happy with a fullback. Tavares, I think. Is it Aaron Hickey? I think he's being looked at. I'd like to get Saliba back. Oh, this is going to be interesting to see if Saliba even wants to come back now. Do you know what? This is the funny thing, very quickly. We sent Saliba out on loan so he could catch up to be with us. And now he's sitting there waiting for us to catch up to him. There you go. I just thought I'd let you know that. He's playing Champions League and all that jazz, and we're not even there. 6. I would say 6 players.
Okay.
Couple in defense, couple in midfield, then 2 strikers.
Tom?
7.
Okay.
Goalkeeper, fullback, centre mids, 2 strikers, a winger, and
a manager.
It's actually quite interesting, Tom, you say this because I was thinking this morning about the different things, and Bernd Leno, that something needs to happen to him this summer as well.
Matt Turner's coming in, isn't he? Matt Turner's coming in, so he's one of the 7.
Yeah, so Bernd Leno, I think he's got some value in him, no? Because his contract has got. He's not going to walk away.
I think you'll be lucky to get 10 million. I think you'll be lucky to get 10 mil, to be honest.
The Arsenal Poundland transfer season will be starting very soon.
Mike, what about yourself?
I would say 6, not including the Matt Turner one that's already sealed. And as for how much we spend, whatever it takes for those 6 to be the right players. I mean, not all 6 of them necessarily need to be replacing someone in the starting 11, although I'd say a good 4 of them at least need to be. But yeah, 6 new players in addition to the swap. I think we're probably going to get rid of about 3 or 4, and well, for money, I should say.
Okay, yeah.
I'm not
the rest you just leave on the side of the street and hope someone picks it up on the way past.
Probably good. Well, I mean, we've normally had to pay to have our trash taken away, but yeah, I think we'll actually sell 4 players for money this summer. That's how incredible this summer's going to be.
Does that include Guendouzi, Mavropanos, and Torreira? That have
Guendouzi's gone for 9, which looks dumb now, but look, you can't roll back.
You know what? The funny thing, Mike, is Marseille can actually sell Mathieu Guendouzi right now and make money on him.
Oh, absolutely.
Stuttgart can do the same with Mavropanos as well.
2 million for Mavropanos.
Torreira could probably be done as well.
No, there's no defense of taking players and giving guaranteed purchases at a particular price. It should if you're going to give guaranteed purchases, you need to do it based on some sort of performance metric. Like if you play 30 games, then the price goes up to this, that, or the other thing. To basically roll the dice and say we're going to give Guendouzi away for 9 million, and if he turns into a world beater this summer or this year, it's still 9 million. It's just dumb business. It's hopefully the end. I don't know why I would think it is, but hopefully the end.
Exactly what Arsenal does. Dumb business.
Yeah, it has been for the most part what Arsenal do. Yeah. But yeah, I think we need to definitely sell 4 or 5. There's going to be a few that walk away, and get 6 new players in, and they've got to be the right players.
Hopefully that will be the case. We've been doing this for about an hour and 20 minutes now, guys. So we're just going to start rounding things up. Final thoughts, Tom?
I'm so glad I'm going to be at a wedding on Sunday. that's kind of where I'm at. You know, I think I'm gonna check out the game in terms of my phone and updates. I'm just probably gonna enjoy what I'm doing on Sunday, and then just check my phone later in the day and see what happens. Because
you are not going to do that. You know that you'll do that once Spurs take the lead, but until they do, you know that you're going to be.
The thing is, I know someone at the wedding will probably be like, Norwich have scored, and I'll be like, what? Just watching it. But I'm going to try and just enjoy Sunday, because I know that the reality of the situation is that it's probably not going to be a good one Arsenal-wise. But no, it sucks. We go again. But yeah, if you hate Arteta and you want to chat about it, you can come on the show tomorrow if you want, 3 o'clock.
Yeah, if you want to have a debate with Tom, there's a lot of people normally in the comments, and I must say lately he's been very respectful. Actually, I don't see none of the shit that normally comes out. Well, it's been better than before that people actually. So if you want to have a debate with Tom, go over on his channel tomorrow. He will give you a link. You come on the channel. You can actually speak to him.
Come on, you keyboard warriors.
That's that. Mike, what about you? Final thoughts?
Well, I'll be over for the game. I was, when I planned this trip, I was really banking on it being a celebratory game. But now I'm again, what some people in the chat don't seem to understand. I'm going to try to enjoy myself. That doesn't mean I'm okay with everything that's happened at Arsenal. There is a difference, but it's the end of the season. There's a 0.001% chance it could turn into one of the best days of Arsenal in recent memory. The other 99.99% is just going to be about seeing all the people I don't get to see very often, especially knowing that Tom won't be there. Makes the day even better. No, but no, it's and for the I forget who it was in the chat that keeps asking me where I got into football and who my favorite player was. The answer is 1988, Arsenal, the High Bank of North the High Bank, the North Bank of Highbury, and David Rocastle. Those are my answers, and where I became an Arsenal supporter. So
Rocky, big player.
Rocky will always be my favorite player, and his family, his kids and wife are some of the most loveliest people you could possibly meet.
Well, he was a lovely guy himself.
Yeah, I exchanged a few messages with her daughter. I think Monique. On the anniversary of his death last year, I think, or the year before. We wanted to do something special on a show for him. She was very, very nice, and she was very.
They all are. Ryan's
an
amazing guy. Monique is amazing, and that you could see Ryan you could see David in them. The personality, the generosity. They're just a really, really great group, and he is one of the major reasons that I became an Arsenal fan and that I remain one today, because of how the club operates, given his words. Remember who you are and what you represent, something of that nature. So
it's all the best to them.
I love all you guys in the chat, no matter whether you think I'm a Muppet or not.
I don't think they were calling you a Muppet, actually. I was looking at the comments, and I just think it was a generalization to some of the fans in here, actually. So,
Muppets are fuzzy and nice.
If you want to be a Muppet, though, Mike, Muppet, you can be one, mate. It's no problem.
Lev, your final thoughts?
Kermit the Frog. Final thoughts is, I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, my final.
The chance is gone, Mike. Is finished.
You just, Mike, you're stealing my thunder here. My final thoughts, I'm just glad it's all over, mate, to be honest with you. I'm just glad it's all over, because it's the hope that kills you with this team. And the worst thing is they sucked you into believing it was possible. Then it was more than possible. And now it's almost impossible. All in a matter of days. And that's what it's like being an Arsenal fan. So it's a roller coaster ride of emotions. I'm actually happy to get off this ride now. I'll probably be doing exactly what Tom will be doing, in the sense of not watching the actual game. I'm not going to be at the same wedding as him, obviously, but it's just going to be like in the back, subconsciously, you're going to be thinking, it might, some ridiculous. If anyone can do it, they can. Spurs can do it. Bottle it at the last minute against the team. But I even went as far as looking at Norwich's results these last couple of months. I couldn't believe I did that. And that's not helped me out at all. So Sunday, I'm just not watching the game. I'm not doing anything to do football. There you go. But love to all of the fans in here. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for going through the journey with us. And thank you for helping us with therapy over the last few days as well.
Yeah. For me as well, thank you very much to everybody who commented, who took part. Please hit the like. Make sure you subscribe to Arsenal Lounge, the Guna Talk TV, Mo Haidar's channel, and Mike's the Guna podcast. Don't forget, on Friday, if you want to turn up to Mike's event in Tollington for a charity, check out gunaversuscancer.com. We're going to put the link in the description as well, so you guys can see it. Go there, meet Mike, meet Lev. I'm not sure if I'm going to be there. There's going to be some other podcasters, Ali Judges, Dan, Tom, etc. So turn up, have a drink with them, mingle, have a chat, and you feel
Not
better about
me.
things. Maybe.
Don't have a drink with me. Don't ask me for a drink. Don't come near me. I'm only joking. Sorry, Shaheen, you're not really in a good mood today, are you? Everything I do, like
What the fuck was that? Don't come near me. Don't ask for a drink. Don't. What's
well,
that about, man?
you're sending
But
them
you're
to
not
come and
like
get
that
a drink
normally.
with me.
So why are you saying like?
There's going to be
he's not
velvet
like this
ropes
normally?
surrounding Lev.
I'm not. I'm going to be in the VIP section, so don't bother me. All right, there you go. I've said it. No, I'm
Anyway.
only joking.
Thank you very much to everybody. Before Lev wrecks himself more than that, we'll call it a day for this week, and we'll see you guys again next week, Monday. Have a wonderful week and weekend, and we'll see you soon.